Red Dead Redemption 2 and The Witcher 3 are arguably two of the best games this generation. Heck, they're two of the best games ever. With RDR2, Rockstar carried on cementing their legacy as being one of the greatest developers of all time, and The Witcher 3 finally gave CD Projekt Red the recognition they truly deserve as being one of the most underrated developers. I love both these games. So what to do when you have two things you really love? You make them fight one another to battle out for admiration, of course. So in this video, I'll be comparing the two games on these 7 subjects which I feel are the most important parts of each game: the story, graphics, gameplay, music, world, side missions, and the main protagonists. After every round, I will give each of these games a score from 1 to 10, then at the end of the video, the game with the most points is your true and decisive winner, which you cannot argue about. My sentence is final and I will not hear another word. Let's begin. Let's start off with the story. I'll keep it short and spoiler free, so don't worry if you haven't played either game yet. A big chunk of The Witcher 3 has us searching for Ciri, a sort of adopted daughter figure for Geralt. Whilst the main missions are great and they offer some lore as well as tons of different character appearances, it did sometimes feel a bit like a fetch quest. As you uncover more about Ciri's whereabouts, the people who are revealing things to you always want you to do something for them first. 90% of the time it's like, oh, you want to know more? Okay, cool. Just go find my wife, then we'll talk. Now, I don't really think this is an issue, as quests you do for the characters are generally really good and have some tough choices you have to make. Like early on you have the Bloody Baron, which turns out to be pretty emotional, and the 3 Crones of Crookback Grog, which also have you make a really difficult choice. The story is really long, especially if you play through the 2 DLC expansions, but overall, really enjoyable. 8 out of 10. Red Dead Redemption 2 has the greatest story in video game history, in my opinion. Now, I know people are going to yell out stories like The Last of Us and so on, but I love RDR2 so much because of the awesome side characters like Dutch, Micah, and John. But, of course, the redemption arc that we have our main protagonist Arthur Morgan go through is the part that truly shines most. The story takes tons of twists and turns and eventually climaxes to a really well done end that leaves us with happiness, sadness, and overall fulfillment. 10 out of 10. The Witcher 3 to this day still impresses me with just how great it looks. The graphic fidelity for a game that is fully jam-packed with so much stuff is crazy and puts games like Fallout 76 to shame, because if a game from 2015 can have a massive world and still look amazing, then there is no excuse, especially from a bigger company like Bethesda. Now, while some of the faces and body parts do seem a little plastic-like at times, really I can't criticize it considering this game came out 4 years ago and still looks better than most games that come out now. 9 out of 10. When I play Red Dead Redemption 2, I still sometimes cannot believe how amazing this game looks. The facial details on every character is superb, but especially on Arthur and our main cast. But it doesn't stop there, as there is a massive world that is also extremely detailed. From small things like when you walk into mud, the footprints you create fill up with water and getting dirt on your clothes, to the big things like how insanely detailed the horse looks. You can see the veins on its body, and more impressively, its PP. Red Dead Redemption 2 is the best looking game I have ever played. However, it did come out 3 years later than The Witcher 3, so it should look better. I don't think it's totally fair, but either way, 10 out of 10. This is where The Witcher 3 truly shines. Now, I don't want to talk too much about the gameplay because we'll be here for a very long time. Put it simply, there are so many damn things to do and so much to unlock. The skill tree is detailed and makes you actually think about what skills to use to complement your playstyle. I personally prefer to play as a super fast swordsman with Igni as my primary sign ability. I also adore more than anything else the card game Gwent. Honestly, I've spent so much time playing Gwent, it's ridiculous. It's like, hey, what'd you do in The Witcher 3 today? Go through the cool story, fight a giant beast, explore the map, find some awesome treasure, go to the whorehouse? Nah, I just played cards with this dwarf over here. The gameplay is hands down the best part about this game. I freaking love the monster contracts and preparing for them, as it makes me feel kinda tactical. 9 out of 10. Fantastic. This is where RDR2 falls off quite a bit for me. Now, whilst the shooting animations are realistic, it feels a little unresponsive and slow. I prefer the shooting from RDR1, and as much as I understand and appreciate the effort put into making the gunplay realistic, it just doesn't feel good in my opinion, especially when it comes to the online. I sometimes end up accidentally tackling people and punching my horse. The horse controls are pretty awesome though. It also feels weird how the whole story is about getting money, but when I get money, there's nothing really much to spend it on. I had $3,000 and had nothing to do with it. I know it sounds like I'm being really negative, and it's not that the gameplay is bad, because honestly it's not, but the controls do hamper the game down quite a bit. However, the bounty hunting missions are awesome, as well as hunting being something that I constantly go back to do, as the animals are realistic and act accordingly to your actions. 7 out of 10. The music is fantastic. I love the soundtrack so much. I've downloaded a bunch of the songs and just listened to them whilst I read books or write scripts for videos like this one. I adore how the music just matches the world, whether it be exploring, fighting monsters, playing Gwent, or going to the local inn and listening to Priscilla and her amazing song. Yeah, 10 out of 10. The voice acting is some of the best I have ever heard. I was constantly impressed at how great the characters sounded and delivered their lines. Arthur Morgan, Dutch and John stand out in particular, as well as many other characters. The music is also just so damn good. I still listen to the soundtrack. There are some really nice moments in the story that is complemented by the music playing through it. A good example is right at the beginning when you leave the mountains and a lovely song plays as it transitions from the snow to the sunny mountainside. 10 out of 10. In my opinion, The Witcher 3 and RDR2's worlds are in the top 5 greatest video game locations ever. Did I just create a new video idea? Well, now you have to subscribe. I could talk about The Witcher 3's world for days. From the first moment you walk around as Geralt and take a look outside your balcony in Kaer Morhen and see how gorgeous the mountain region is, to the first time you go to the city in Velen and see how dense and detailed it is. In any open world game, the most important thing is the world. Do I care about it? Is it appealing? Does it make me want to revisit the game? These are the things that make a world great. It needs to draw me back in, and The Witcher 3 does that. From the tiny villages to swamps, luscious forests, mountain caves, you name it. Exploring the world is also just a joy, as you can swim underwater and take boats to ride around everywhere. The inhabitants of the world are also insanely, phenomenally awesome. My goodness, how did CD Projekt Red manage to create so many monsters and creatures with unique looks, personality and fighting behaviors? I want to do nothing but fanboy over the world of The Witcher 3, but I must calm my gaming boner and move on. 10 out of 10. You would think that comparing a fantasy world like The Witcher 3's to a realistic setting like RDR2's would be unfair and that RDR2 stood no chance. Well, you would be mistaken, my dear friend. RDR2's world is breathtaking from start to finish. Like seriously, I had my inhaler with me the entire time. Rockstar addressed the main concerns with RDR1. The West was just kind of samey. It just blended into one big desert looking thing with some trees sometimes. Well, Rockstar fixed it here. We have tons and tons of various regions to explore, from snowy mountains to giant forests, swamps, industrial cities, small towns, gorgeous vineyards, luscious jungles, which okay was the lowest point in the game, but it still counts. It's astonishing at how phenomenal RDR2 looks. What RDR2 lacks with mythical creatures, it more than makes up with its realistic and varied animals. There are many animals to hunt and skin, and they look fantastic and react to what you do so realistically. It wouldn't be fair for me to choose one world over another. They're both just spectacular. 10 points for Gryffindor. I mean Red Dead Redemption 2. The Witcher 3 woke me up to just how damn important side missions really are and how epic they can be. Before this game, side missions were fun, but mostly they were just about leveling up and making money. But The Witcher 3 has shown us that side missions are just as important as the main story itself. Even when I didn't need more money or was overpowered, I still did side missions and monster contracts because they're fun and actually have stories to them. Good stories too. It's not just, hey, there's this monster, I'll give you 50 crowns to kill it. It's stories like, my wife went into the woods and never came back. So you go to the woods and find the body of his wife. You then scan the area for clues and find footprints of what appears to be a werewolf. You follow the tracks to his lair and it's revealed that the werewolf was the same man who gave you the contract and that he was the one that unintentionally killed his wife whilst he was in an uncontrollable werewolf form. It's also revealed that at this time, his wife's sister was the one that sent her into the woods so she would see him as a werewolf and run away so that she could be with her sister's husband. I hope that makes sense. Either way, 10 out of 10. The side missions in RDR2 don't feel like side missions. They feel like a part of the main story, and that's because some of the side missions actually come from the characters from the main story. I won't get into spoilers, but there's a particular mission you do for Mrs. Downs towards the end of which leads from one of the main storyline missions early on in the second chapter, which I just loved. Phenomenal here too. 9 out of 10. Would have been a 10, but only because in comparison, The Witcher 3 just has such a larger amount than RDR2. Reviewing Geralt as a character is difficult because he is the character you set him out to be. You make tons of choices that affect what he says and how he reacts to things. So this will be based on my own playthroughs. Geralt is awesome, sarcastic, and an overall badass. However, I never really grew an emotional attachment to Geralt. I liked him and all, but yeah, I just never felt for him as much as another certain main protagonist. 8 out of 10. This one's going to be quick. Arthur Morgan is the greatest protagonist in video game history. I made an entire 20-minute long video dedicated to Arthur Morgan and why he is the GOAT. If you want an in-depth video about it, just click the box on the right hand side of your screen once the outro plays. He's an incredible character, simple as. 10 out of 10. In the end, The Witcher 3 got an incredible score of 65 out of 70. However, with 66 out of 70, your winner, Red Dead Redemption 2, which doesn't matter. I made this video just as an excuse to gush over how great both these games are. I love these games to death, and at the end of the day, a number doesn't mean anything. They're both masterpiece 10 out of 10s in my eyes, so whether either game won or lost truly shouldn't matter, as both games are a fantastic example of just how high developers can set the bar when it comes to quality. Except RDR2's Online, which we shall never speak of again. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Let me know down below what 2 games should battle it out for our admiration next, and do not forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.